welcome everyone to episode 2. We have a lot in store for you today. First thing, we have the types of aging. So we're going to learn about the 3 different types of aging. We're also going to learn about why we have these stereotypes about age and also reflecting about our own unconscious ageism that we have. So I'm like, so this episode I'm like, am I ageist or just judgmental?
We're also going to be looking at diverse ways of looking at getting older, so different cultures, how they may see aging, and we're also going to be talking about older people having sex. And the challenge around how do you see yourself as an older person / elder?
Yes. All that and more in this episode. So come and listen.
Welcome to Decolonise Me, episode 2.
Woo!
Today, we are going to be talking about aging. And we have a very special guest who is about to introduce themselves. Hi!
Hello, I'm Lee-Fay, Professor in Aging and Health, and I'm 49 years old.
Wonderful. I love how you introduced your age. We didn't ask you to introduce your
Yeah.
age, but that was just part of your intro. Why was that part of your intro?
I gave my age because I feel like people often want to hide their age when they're middle-aged like me. And because we're talking about decolonizing aging, I thought that it was important to kind of put myself out there. So, some of you might be judging, some of you aren't judging based on 49, but that's really where we're going to start this conversation.
I love that. And I feel like we have to reciprocate that.
Okay.
So my name is Happy and I'm 38 years old.
And my name is Chochi and I'm 21.
Yeah.
So continuing the conversation.
See? You see?
Next episode is about denial.
Is a river. Love that song, by the way. Shout out to Dochi.
Shout out Doch at the Doch.
Yeah. That's interesting, right? So let's get into it then. And we probably will come back to my denial soon in the episode. How we run our episode is we have 3 sections and reflective questions that accompany those sections. The first is around deconstructing. So we're going to deconstruct. We're going to try and understand the current context, what's happening in space and place around the topic area, which is today, aging. The second section of our conversation will be to decolonize, where we're going to look at the topic area from a different point of view. And then the third part of our conversation is all about disrupting. So we're going to come up with a challenge and we're going to try and come up with something practical in response to the conversation that
and
we
do
have.
the challenge.
And do the challenge right now.
Yeah.
Yes, in improv way. Like we're
Yeah.
going to do it straight away based on the challenge set from the conversation.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Let's go.
Deconstruct. How do we see aging?
I think that often when we think about aging, the first thing we think about is biological aging. So things that happen to our bodies as we get older. And those typical stereotypes. Our hair goes grey, weight changes, perhaps we get a bit frailer, we get more chronic diseases. So they're all biological markers of aging. But I'd like maybe the listeners to think about the other things that come with aging. Aging is a psychological process, right? So how do we, think of ourselves differently as we age? Some older people we talk to actually like how they think about themselves. They say they become more self-confident. You don't care what people think so much. So there's lots of benefits, I think, to that maturity and wisdom, which we know happens with psychological aging. And thirdly, aging is a social process. So I'm not probably quite of the age where people, like older people, feel, but older people, particularly older women, tell us that they start to have less power in society or are less seen in society, like they become more invisible as they age. So they kind of feel this stigma around how important they are, how powerful they are with aging.
Very interesting. So aging is more than a number per se, and there are different areas of other people's identity or other identifiers in your identity that may impact on how you understand your age, like gender, like you said. Can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
Yeah, so I suppose I think about it like stereotypes or the stories that we tell about our future selves. So now we're getting very like academic, but there's this narrative foreshortening and aging where the story we know about our life is, we're young, we grow, we, get a job typically, maybe we spouse up and have kids, or maybe now we don't spouse up and have kids, and then we get older, and then typically the story is we die. As opposed to we get older, we retire, maybe we get a van, we drive around Australia, but it's not, and we get another partner, or we start another career, or we contribute to society in other ways, or we gain other power, I guess, in society. So I think the story around what happens as we age is very foreshortened, I guess, and you don't see much, as much in TV or everyone's like, there's not many older superheroes, is what one story as well. So the power of being older is less common in society, and less common for women than for men.
Yeah, that really strikes me. I think when you were talking about how we visualize aging, and then it just you grow old, and then you die. I think there's something to be said about how we don't give ourselves that space to imagine ourselves in the future and how it is to be older. And I totally relate to the fact of being a woman, and also balancing that with your career and the social expectation of have children, have a house, have a partner, and things like that. And it's like, and that mold is taught to you from such an early age that when I'm in this age, it's hard for me to imagine anything else. And that anything outside the mold then becomes something like, oh, I'm doing something wrong because I didn't fulfill that expectation of being a woman of this age. And so I guess my other question is also, so that one is how gender plays into that. Are there other elements that kind of also layer this experience, like racially, or I don't know, in terms of profession of people?
I think culturally there's definitely layers. So if we take a white Western perspective, I think that there's different type of respect to. I'm Malaysian Chinese, so certainly the way that was trained, brought up to respect my elders, even at the dinner table, we would like wait for the elder to start eating first, and you would offer them food first. And there's a certain, I guess, expectation of care and respect for our elders, which my experience of kind of Australian Western society is less, not there, but less. And I think that just the expectations and the role of kind of how family and elders work is different. So at the moment I live with my mum, but that's, I guess, more usual for an Asian family and less usual for an Australian family, where people value independence perhaps rather than like communal kind of collective stuff. So my mum's experience of aging is different to her being independent.
Yeah,
definitely. And it's interesting because talking about what the norms are around different age groups, so generally we also sort of segment a particular age range into a particular experience. Can you tell us more about that, please? And why we do that?
yeah. Where does it come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question. I mean, my expertise is in older people, although we have worked on some kind of study epidemiological studies, for people in their 20s and 40s and 60s.
Can you
An
say
epi
that?
what?
Yeah, I love this word.
Epidemiological studies. So big population-based studies where you try and get a relatively representative sample of people. So I worked on a study called Path Through Life Study set in Canberra, where we recruited people in their 20s, in their 40s, and in their 60s, and then we followed each group for about 10 years. The older ones we followed for longer to try and kind of understand the difference. But we did the thing you were talking about, kind of chopping people into age groups and then having certain expectations of it. I mean, as a psychologist, I was like, look, it's really hard to treat people as individuals. It's just such hard work. It's much easier to work with stereotypes. So because it's efficient, right? You meet someone and you go, okay, I get that person's in that age. They probably, have this much money. They probably, might have a partner. They probably, and so in terms of, it is helpful to be able to make some assumptions about people when you interact with them. But there's a very negative to those assumptions in that then, we don't treat people like individuals. We make lots of assumptions about them. So I'm not saying that all assumptions are bad. If not, you're just going to be working really hard, with every new person you meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'm intrigued that if you don't meet those assumptions or the typical things that is expected in those age ranges, how do we then see those people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's challenging for anyone who doesn't meet that typical assumption, irrespective of what age they are. And it seems to me that there's more flexibility, you do you kind of attitude for people in the younger age groups, but that hasn't maybe extended as much to the older people in their, I wouldn't even say 60s, but maybe 70s and 80s. They're still quite tied to that, the dominant expectation.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think I'm really struck by that whole thing of it's easier to make assumptions, therefore we will do it because I see the other side of it also, as otherwise will be analysis paralysis, trying to accommodate all the things we know about the people. But I feel like one thing I was just thinking about it when you were also sharing the story about how you live with your mother and how, like, let's say the default house that is designed for people is a house for one family and not an intergenerational household, right? Which is common in many cultures. But you go here, you go to you go to an auction or like a pre-selling for flats. It's always one type of thing, and everything is, yeah. So I feel like, I guess what I'm saying is, I really feel that we're sort of forced to be in this mold by everything, by the built environment, by how you're socialized, by your gender, by your culture and everything. And so I guess my question is, how do you how do you kind of get yourself out of that when it's all around you, from everything, from the moment you wake up? What clothes am I gonna wear? I have to be age appropriate. I'm not gonna wear a tank top, or you know what I mean? So it's like, it's so hard to get out of it because it's everywhere, because so many of these decisions and assumptions have been made before we were even born. And it's like, how do you find that space to kind of reimagine yourself in another way?
I mean, part of it is this kind of conversation, I think. When I realized that I was ageist, I was like, am I? I'm really ageist? And I thought, oh, I do. I think that thing. I think, oh, I shouldn't wear that. That's for young people. I don't want people to judge me because I've got these tiny pink shorts on. But there's no rule. There's no moral imperative to Lee-Fay wearing tiny pink shorts.
There are no rules.
Right? There's
No
no
rules.
moral imperative. So why do I think that? Why do I think, oh, that's for young people?
Yeah.
But there definitely is, ingrained in us this, and I have to kind of bite my tongue. I stop myself from thinking that or saying that. So it's, you see celebrities on the news, and and I was watching who was that woman who hasn't been wearing makeup?
Oh,
Pamela Anderson?
okay, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Is it Pamela Anderson?
It
Yes.
can be. And I'm thinking
Maybe.
about some musicians like I know
Alicia
Alicia
Keys.
Keys was
Yes,
also
right?
doing
Alicia
something
Keys
So when
did
you
this no
see
makeup
them
thing.
on the news without makeup, I go, oh. And then my first thought is to kind of be a bit judgy. And then I have to override that and go,
Yes.
you do you, you know?
Yeah.
You power to you for showing yourself for how you are.
Yeah.
But it's really hard work.
Yeah. And I
Totally.
actually didn't relate that to being ageist. Because
Right.
I often find myself doing that to myself and to others. And then now it's only now that it clicked that I'm like, oh, actually, that is an ageist thing. Yeah, sorry. go
And
ahead.
it's almost like because we're hardwired, right, based
Yeah.
on the different circumstances and how society has been set up. And this is a nice segue
Oh,
to
yeah.
the second part
I like the
of our
segues.
conversation, which is about decolonize. So let's
Yeah.
now look at the topic area of aging differently. So how can we look at this topic area of aging differently?
So let's think of some of our assumptions, I guess, because I thought of,
Mhm.
I said, well, we put people in these boxes
Yeah.
because it's cognitively easier.
Mm.
So the biggest assumption, I think, with aging is that young is good and old is bad.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Essentially,
Mm.
that's like permeates so much of lots of culture, everyday culture. So old is bad, so you have anti-aging products.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can't just be moisturizer to keep your skin,
Moisturised.
moisturized.
Yeah.
Because so I'm not like saying we shouldn't moisturize.
Mm.
Yes, moisturize away.
Mm.
But does it have to be anti-aging moisturizer?
Mm.
Same as see, there's a birthday card over there.
Mm.
So same as birthday cards, right?
Mm.
Hate those ageist birthday cards that say you're over the hill. Right?
Totally.
Or
Yeah.
like where like it's somehow like a criticism for for you to be another year older. Like too bad you're now older.
Mm.
Why isn't it praise? Like good on you. You
Yeah.
made it through another year. Let's
Yes.
celebrate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because I know in a lot of collectivist cultures, and I come from Fiji, where we practice a lot of indigenous Pacific perspectives. They are varied across different islands. We see elders or people who are aged as elders. So there's almost also this reverence that occurs because the wisdom and the resilience and their knowledge base is there, but it's more so also this reciprocal moment where we see our elders as value adding to who we are, because that's what we will hopefully do because we're all connected reciprocally. Is that a different way of also looking at aging?
Yeah, I think so. I think that in in our Western kind of conversations, there's less of that elders have value and we look to them, look to them for their input. And I think I'm not saying that these aren't true, but there's a very dominant narrative that older people are vulnerable and need care. And I'm not saying that some older people don't need care, but it's not every older person who is vulnerable. And also, you can be vulnerable and need care and still have value and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
You could
do all of those
do
things.
both those
Yeah.
things at once.
Yeah.
So it's going beyond the binary stuff that
Yes.
that we've been conditioned
Yes.
to think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I feel also, I was just thinking about when you pose a challenge, well, what are the kinds of assumptions that we make of, yes, young is good and old is bad. And I think you also feel that career-wise. So I work in the arts, I work in the theater, and you always, there's so many development programs for the youth. It's like from, I don't know what age they define youth now. I think it's until 35. And then it's like once you're past that, it's like that's it, sorry, but you can't have a first go because you're over 35. And I was reading an article also about that recently, about why can't I be an emerging artist in my 40s or in my 50s. Like, why is it that I'm expected to already be an established artist when I'm older, and therefore, you can't experiment or do the things that are associated to being young, like doing a fringe show, doing all these silly things and doing experimentation, because that's what is expected of the youth. And when you're older, it's like, no, actually, you should have your
Yeah, you're either established or you're not. And if
Yeah.
you're not, you can't like start then. You can't
Yeah.
career change into
Exactly.
an arts career. But why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's almost saying that you can't have fun also when
Yeah.
you get
Oh.
older.
Yeah.
We did a study. Yes, you want a study story. So we did a study called the Smile Study, and we worked with clown doctors, the ones who work in hospital,
Mhm.
but we turned them into elder clowns and then went into nursing homes, into residential aged care, and there was a stigma around that. Like, well, older people don't want to have fun. Like, also it's sad. Like, that's like infantilizing them.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're not treating you as children. We're giving you an opportunity to play. And when you open the opportunity to play to older people, they are hilarious. You know, they will tell you rude jokes. They'll swear. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, they really come out, and you're very surprised. And again, those assumptions. So, you know, we had such a good time in residential aged care, like having fun with elders. But it's just not a typical thing that you would think to do.
Yeah.
It's so funny because we just laughed at this idea of older people laughing. And it's like, hang on, I've got to check myself in my
Yeah.
understanding of what is
Yeah.
appropriate or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Older people have sex as well.
What?
Yes.
Our rating of this podcast
I
isn't
know.
it like
I'm not
G?
allowed to say that.
You can say whatever you would like.
Why am I not allowed to say that?
Say it to the camera.
Oh, say it to camera. Do you know what? Older people have sex too.
Clutching my pearls.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I want to ask, because that is something that I heard, that actually STDs are very common in retirement homes because they're all very sexually active. I don't know if that's true or not, but
It's not that they're all very sexually active. Perhaps that's
But that it
overstating it.
happens.
But it definitely happens. And also that they're not good at using contraception because they don't need to use contraception for reproductive purposes.
Yes.
And they've kind of like need to be educated that they need to use it to stop spread of STDs.
yeah,
That is
wow.
so interesting, of course.
Yeah,
because
because they're
they
not
were just
stopping pregnancy anymore.
No.
No, like, I'm done with that.
that's right, but they're still
Yeah.
susceptible to
To
yeah,
the
those sexually
infections.
transmitted
Yeah.
infections.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. Very, very interesting. Do you think that there are certain things that that we could potentially think of differently when it comes to aging more broadly?
I mean, from a societal perspective, if we shift our kind of our thinking from, you know, you like older people retiring to older people transitioning to retirement and perhaps doing other things that have value to them as people and have value to society, I think that would help. I think, you know, for example, we do push people to retirement, and I think it's easier now to be semi-retired, you know, to work a little bit but not full time. But I think having those opportunities would help both older people who want to contribute but not work full time, but also society, because they're still, it's terrible to say, they're still paying tax and,
Yes.
you know, and having value, and, you know, and that's important too, I think. So from a societal perspective, I think it's being much more flexible in our thinking about what older people do.
And knowing that they can still contribute
Yes.
as opposed to take, because that again is the dominant way of looking
Yes.
at those that are older, is that they need our help, that they're vulnerable. And yes, in circumstances there may be those situations. However, we shouldn't say everyone that's over a particular age needs that level of support.
And they don't.
Yeah.
Right? They don't.
Yeah.
Most older people are living in the community. You know, maybe they use a bit of healthcare, but lots of older people are the ones who are volunteering, you know, running clubs and societies and arts events,
Yes.
right? And you know, helping with kids' soccer. Like older people are doing heaps.
That's right. And still having sex.
Definitely still having sex.
So that's a
We're
nice
doing a lot.
segue
Yeah.
to the third part of our conversation, which is to disrupt. This is now where we're going to look at a challenge, and we're going to look at how we might do something practically. It might be through a particular reflection question, but something that we can do to further change the way in which we look at this topic area around aging.
Yeah, because a lot of it, I think, is that unconscious bias, right? Of like me having that realization. Oh, I didn't realize that is an assumption that is ageist. And also I think thinking about generationally, now it's very prominent, like the Gen Z, the millennials, the Gen X, the boomers, and boomers are also very, very demonized right now. Like, the boomers who caused the housing crisis and things like that. So I think to me it's also about thinking about that. How do you bridge all these generation gaps? That's like a lot of generations from, just thinking about Gen Z versus boomer and how different that is.
Totally.
Except in fashion, because boomer fashion is now being
Well, maybe what could the challenge be for us to reflect on?
Well, one of the academics said that ageism is stigma against your future self. So how about if I imagine, like I ask you to imagine your future self, and let's go quite old. Let's go 85. Like, so it's quite we're a bit far in the future.
Totally, because there's
tell the story about what that looks like, and I don't want you to just be wholly positive. I want you to be realistic and balanced.
Okay, who wants to go first?
Yeah. This is hard. This is like, sure, you went first last time.
Yes, I went first on episode 1. You can go first. And this is much harder for me as well. Being 21, that's a long time away. So
that's a lot of imagination needs to happen. So I think, okay, visualize. Then we're gonna ask Dawn to put the AI aging filter on my face. Just kidding.
Those are ages too.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
When I've used those filters, they've just made me look further grey.
Yeah. You just put lines on my face.
And wrinkles, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Also, I'm Asian, so
Yes, exactly.
so 85 is probably the first year that I will truly feel old.
Yes.
So what does it look like? Well, okay, this is hard. So also because I'm in the arts, and I feel that there are limited opportunities for 85-year-olds in the performing arts. Okay, so probably have a kid by 85. Hopefully they still like me. Hopefully my kids still like me at 85. I do want to have an active lifestyle. Like, I want to be able to walk still. Take the bus, take public transport, do little things. I feel like that the thing you said about we don't imagine old people as being fun. I think that's something that I want to really, because I fun plays a big factor in my life, and I do want to have fun at that age. So I would imagine myself having a lot of hobbies, probably signing up in all those senior activities, doing Tai Chi in the morning, doing the senior swimming in the afternoon kind of thing. So I imagine myself doing that, just overloading myself with activities. And then maybe, I don't know, one thing that scares me about it is losing memory, and kind of that not being able to remember things. So I don't know if I would have started it at 85 of writing things down just so I won't forget, or if that's something I should actually start earlier in the like maybe in my 70s. Yeah, I don't know. Is that enough? Yeah, is that enough? Yeah, is that enough? Is that correct?
There's
that
no
correct?
right or wrong. It's just an exercise.
Yeah.
I think you did well. You really challenged yourself to imagine it.
No, I love it. Because I think really what we're trying to do is reimagine, right, as you said, the way in which we see ourselves at that particular age. Okay.
So that it's not a scary thing. Like, because if not, you just avoid thinking about it. You're just like, you're just always not old.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's going to happen.
Yes.
Chronologically, it's going to happen.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I was gonna say one thing. I just thought of it because my husband and I were talking about this. He read this. It was actually a fashion advice that every decade you must go louder and bolder in your fashion sense. So by 85, I will be in neon everything. I'm gonna be that kooky 85-year-old with all these loud and bold clothing.
I'm into it.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, see?
That's amazing. That's great.
Have you found it like a
Yes.
like a positive kind of thing that she's actively can do?
Yeah, totally. And look forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is it my turn now?
Yes.
It's my turn. Okay. So it's interesting. I already wear bold clothing.
Bolder.
Bolder. No clothing at all.
All people have sex, remember that.
Looking forward to that. I think for me, I'm an academic. So I see myself being an academic because it's like a vocation, right? You're very, fortunate to be able to research and teach and explore different topic areas at different stages of your career. And so I feel like I'll be able to potentially do that whilst also spend quality time with myself still. Like I feel like I'll be able to still find a balance of doing this stuff as an academic, spending time hopefully with loved ones, with grandkids. That's a commitment from my 12-year-old son to
No pressure.
No pressure, son. No pressure. I had my son really young, being 21, of course. So having the idea of having loved ones around me, or even I've got lots of nieces and nephews, so being around their family. So I think for me, being around family, being involved, contributing to family, traveling, seeing the world. I love to travel, so still keeping up those particular areas of my life, and going out and enjoying life, right? And giving myself permission to do that without feeling like I have to live out my age. Oh, this is a really interesting activity.
Yeah.
I've really gone into my feels as well. Like I feel optimistic that can be a good thing and be a part of my journey as opposed to, I'm now worried about being old.
Yeah.
How interesting. How did I go?
You both went.
But mine was better, right?
Who is more anti-ageist?
No, actually, another thing for real that I look forward to is the senior citizen discount. As a super cheap person, like I want my golden opal card.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who's a semi-retired, but you never retired performer, and he says that the age pension is just the government subsidizing his arts career.
There you go. So he's
he's
an artist in residence.
Yeah, he's still doing artistic things.
Yeah.
Now he just gets the pension.
Yeah, it's because it's reshifting again the way in which you see yourself. Even when you get older, that's the challenge as well. It's reshifting the way in which you see yourself.
Yeah. So I can say I will be getting a lot of art grants from the government.
Yes.
To fund my arts. That's a great way of looking at it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I want to hear your answer, actually. Can we ask for your answer?
Gosh, I've thought about this a lot, right? So when I'm 85, I won't dye my hair.
You will or won't?
I won't. No, I won't dye my hair. And I'll go to the gym because that's good for my physical health. And I'm going to try and stay really active in the community. So as an academic, I'll have, some honorary here, presumably, so that you could still, maybe supervise some students, have be able to contribute expertise. You write papers, don't have to teach anymore.
Or mark.
Marking. obviously, I mean, hopefully my husband's still around and there'll still be lots of sex. But if not, depending on how you feel, you might recouple. I'm not saying it's impossible. I know it's kind of terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm scared of the idea of losing my husband, but I also don't want to be like, well, if he goes, then I'm just going to be alone my whole life.
Yeah.
Right.
I've still got quite a long time till 85. So I think, like, for me, it's like accepting that there might be some things that will change that are probably hard. Like, maybe I'll get cancer, maybe I'll have memory problems, but also maybe there'll be good things that I can do, and trying to balance imagining both those things is really tricky.
Love that. Because looking at the whole bigger picture of your life as opposed to just one particular area.
Yeah.
Because again, we think of our health when we get older.
Yeah.
Yes.
That then defines what we do as opposed to
And then you
other
miss
stuff.
out on the different possibilities.
Yes.
of,
Yeah. Like, where are you living? You know,
Yeah.
am I still living like in the inner city in a cute apartment?
Yeah.
Like, I probably don't want a huge house with a garden, but maybe I will. You know, so kind of, you know, because I think about it all the time, I'm going to do a bit of planning around what that would look like. So I set myself up well.
Yeah.
And we're not limiting ourselves.
No. Yeah. And I think if you don't think about it, you are actually limiting yourself because you're not planning. I don't mean planning financially, but just like setting yourself up for a successful life.
Or getting
when you're
yourself
older.
ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I need to start buying my loud pink pants.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and my neon outfits.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm here for it all.
Yeah.
And on that note, that's episode 2 of Decolonise Me. Thank you to our special guest, Lee-Fay. Thank you so much for your support of the podcast. And we look forward to having yourselves challenge yourselves on the question.
Think about how it's going to look like when you're 85.
In hot pink pants.
Yeah. And Joji,
Yes.
you need to end this episode by doing an actual age reveal. That's my real challenge. You're like looking at me like, no, we're gonna end this.
Uncomfortable that we're doing that Georgie's
He's like, I'm 21.
self ageism. I was like, I don't want to push you, but you know.
Yeah, I know. Okay, sorry.
See you on the next episode.
You've just been watching the Decolonise Me podcast, hosted by Georgie Ravulo and Happy Ferrarin. For more details about the topics discussed, please see the show notes and follow us on all social media platforms.